If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And please join me on my website at nanice.com. Thank you.
It's your time for Chai with Nanice. Get ready for substance, clarity, change, and especially empowerment. Get ready to turn over stones, uncover stories, and get to the heart of the matter in every area of your life. Any mood runs, any emotion flies, and your dreams are within your grasp. There are no limits or boundaries, and your comfort zone is out of reach, yet it's the safest place you will ever be. Come in, sit down, and have some chai with Nanice.
Welcome to Chai with Nanice. I'm Nanice. Today's show is about saying yes to life. Now, some of you may be thinking that just by being alive, you're saying yes to life. And it is true that you are alive. However, being alive doesn't mean you have said yes to your life. How many people do you know who just go through the motions day after day? They get up, they go to work, watch the clock all day, go home, so exhausted that all they can do is veg out in front of the TV and until it's time for bed. The next day the alarm goes off way too early and they have to drag themselves out of bed to start another monotonous day. If it weren't for money and responsibilities, they probably wouldn't get up at all. Do you know someone like this? Is this you? Please be honest with yourself. And if this does resonate even a little, it's time for a huge wake-up call. I will tell you that this was me for a good part of my life. I was chronically depressed, anxious, and I often fell into deep states of hopelessness. My life was on autopilot, and without knowing it, I was dying inside. Deep inside, I knew that there was a better way to live, because I wasn't even living. Little by little, I unraveled my life and started making clear choices based on what I really wanted and who I really was. Some of them were really hard and scary, but it was much harder and much, much more scarier to stay stuck in a life that was killing me. If I knew then what I know now, my path to an amazing life would have been so much smoother and more enjoyable than I ever dreamed possible. Now I know I can't go back in time and change my past, but I can help you to change your future. And that's what today's show is all about. My guest today is the beautiful and magnificent Tamara Guterman, and I have to tell you that she has an amazing passion for life. She's one of the most fun people I know. She loves to help, connect, and share with others. She actually just loves everything. She is a wife and mother of two and a classical homeopathic practitioner and student of reflexology, as well as a student of life. Tamara, welcome to the show.
Oh, Nanice, thank you. Thank you for having me. What a beautiful introduction.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, when the idea for this show came up, you're saying yes to life, it made me really reminisce my own life, and I started thinking, how depressed and how sad and how lifeless I was. And the interesting thing is that even though I recognized it at the time, I had no idea how bad it really was until I compare it to now. And I don't regret a moment of it because it got me to here. But I go out, I go to the supermarket, I talk to people, new clients come to me, and I recognize the same thing in them. And the way that I recognize it is because there's a lack of energy, there's a dimness in the eyes, there's a lack of vitality, and just this true enthusiasm for living. And if I can do anything to share my experience and my wisdom in this way, it is absolutely my pleasure. And I know you and I have talked about, what it means to say yes to life, and I would love for you to share with our listeners exactly what that means to you.
Well, I definitely have a story that I can share with everyone, and I don't think I haven't really shared the story much. I know you've heard my story, but it's hard to look within, and I'm just processing this. It's hard to look within and go to those kind of not so sexy little secrets.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so I'm very happy to share my story, but first I would like to say that when you shared the topic with me, of course it made me feel uncomfortable, but then I was excited because I have this experience that, I can share, and thank God for having the experience.
Right.
So you were saying that you would, you were sad and lifeless, and you had those experiences and those feelings, and I had a different experience. I had an experience that I was like effervescent and living, but deep down inside of me, I was not even aware, and I'm a pretty aware person, and I was aware that I was preparing myself to die, but I wasn't aware that I had a choice to change it, I guess. So, and I'm not really sure why I was, preparing myself for this. But I was physically making myself sick and manifesting, an illness within myself, or many illnesses. I was feeling the effects of them. I was completely owning it to the point where I was losing, my hearing and my vision, and I knew something was going on, either in my ovaries or my uterus. And I just kind of, I don't know, I felt like, I knew it was there with a part of me, like that intuition, but my mind was saying, no, it's you're fine. And then I kind of got to a point where I was, I wasn't connecting with my children like I wanted to, like that serious presence where you sit down and you look them in the eye and you share the energy. I found myself pulling myself away. And at the same time I'm feeling these physical symptoms. And so I started seeing a reflexologist who is also a doctor of acupuncture. And, he said, you're fine, and put me on some herbs. And, I believed in that and I trusted that, but I wanted to see what was going on. So I went to a Western to an OB. And she took a picture. She did an ultrasound, and there was a mass inside of my uterus the size of a lemon. And she started to tell me about it and what she wanted to do with the procedure, or what procedure she wanted to do. And I put my hand up. I said, I don't want to hear it. I want 3 months or whatever it was, 3 weeks. I said. To deal with this on my own, because I wanted to think about it. I wanted to think about life before somebody told me something bad was going to happen. So then, we got together. I shared with you, and I had a choice right there. I had a choice to make, and I'm going to go back a little bit, but I'd never visualized my children getting married. I'd visualized it, but I was never there. I have chill bumps. We have gatherings in our neighborhood quite often, and there's a woman who's a widow, and I always said to her, almost every time I got together with her, now I'm thinking she must think I'm crazy. But I said to her, I'd always say, you know what, if anything happens to me, please be with my children. They love you. You're so good to them. You'd be such a great wife for my husband. I mean, can you imagine? I had already started to set my husband up. I had completely given up, and I didn't even, So
that seemed completely normal to you. It sounds like that was just a natural flow. You flowed into that. Is that right?
Oh my gosh, Nanice. It was so natural. There was no question in my mind. Now I think of it like, oh my God, I must have sounded like a lunatic, But yeah, so I guess, once you make the decision to shift, or once I made the decision to live, that brought on all these other, life is, it brought on all these other issues that I had to deal with,
Yeah.
So being present, being still, living life, like living life. How simple is that? I had to start to live life.
Mhm.
All those little rocks that get thrown at you that hurt, whatever they are. I don't know. Whatever they are, they could be anything. From just painful things that someone might say, to abuse, to someone not believing in you, and you not believing in yourself enough to know that it's not about them. It's it's you. Just if you believe in yourself, it doesn't matter. But if you don't believe in yourself enough, then it hurts.
Right.
So you get these layers of hurt, and then and then I was thinking maybe that's what just kind of shut me down. Like, not that I wasn't open, but maybe I truly wasn't open.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all something I'm just thinking about. I'm learning to process it.
Yes. Yeah. Am I hearing you correct? That hurt kept accumulating like it does with most of us. I know that was true for me too. And then it got so thick that you couldn't find yourself underneath it.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, like a lot. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was what?
It was suffocating you, maybe, without even being aware of it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's such a great word, because truly the whole breathing, and it was like the key ingredient to all of this. That I believe for me.
Yes.
And it's almost like I have to learn to breathe again. When a baby is born and they're pushed through the canal of birth, and their lungs are contracted as they're going through the birth canal, and then it's like a big hug, preparing them for life and getting all of the liquid, out, and then they're ready, and I feel like I became like a very shallow breather, or I hold my breath if I'm nervous or tense. I don't breathe.
Yes.
And breath is
that's
life.
true for most people. Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I do. And breath is life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're interchangeable for us.
Absolutely. Because it's not just air you're breathing; it's prana.
Right. It's a true breath.
And prana is life force energy.
And you know what? If you don't breathe prana and you don't have that true breath, you're not being present with breathing.
Yeah.
So then you're kind of like zipping through life, and you're not living life.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed is that when people don't breathe, it's a huge sign that they're resisting life, that they're protecting themselves, that they're trying to control the way things are. People that are deep breathers, there's no resistance to life. There's an acceptance. There's a saying yes to life. And I absolutely agree that the breath is both a literal sign of how someone lives their life, and it's also a metaphorical sign as well. And they're both just as powerful.
Yes, definitely. So those are all little gems that have come to me, even though, I would have said, I know that. But I knew it intellectually, but I didn't know it with every fiber of my body.
Yeah, and do you know how to tell the difference if you know it intellectually or if you know it in every cell in your body?
Tell me. Do you want me to tell
It's very
you?
easy. I'll tell you.
Okay.
I don't want to put you on the spot. I'm sure you know though. And what it is that when you experience it in every cell in your body, you automatically live it. If you're not living it fully, completely, then it's just an idea or a belief in your head. Right.
And there is there can be a process for that. So you can know it, right? And you
Yes.
have the knowledge, and
Yes.
and then you can know it and be living it, okay? But you slip in and out occasionally.
Yes.
And that's okay, because then you know
Absolutely.
that you have to just, that you're on the path, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's acceptance, and you're still pushing through. So, I mean, it doesn't just happen like that all the time for everybody. I don't
Right.
think.
No, it doesn't. You're absolutely right. It is a process. It is a process, but I think a lot of people get stuck in the process because they think if they know it that they really are experiencing it, and they're not. And so you're right.
Right.
It's a process from this knowing or even entertaining the idea to when you finally get there. And it's important that you don't stop anywhere along the line, because if you stop anywhere along the line, you're really not having the full experience of living your life, of being and expressing who you really are.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I that completely makes sense to me.
Yeah. You know, for me, when I look back at before I do that, would you share? You went back to the doctor a few weeks later after that initial appointment, and what happened?
Oh, so thank you for bringing me back to the moment.
Yes.
I get so excited.
I love it.
So a couple weeks later, after the initial, what I told you about, I went back in and saw the doctor,
Yes.
and we did another ultrasound, and she looks to the side that it was on, and she looks at me and says, "Well, wasn't it left?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "We must have written it down wrong. We must have made a mistake. It must have been right." So then she moves over to the right, and she's like, "It's gone." And she kind of had this like funny little giggle, like nervous giggle. And I said, "Oh, I knew it." And she's like, "I feel like I misdiagnosed, and she was questioning herself, and I said, "No, you didn't." I said, "You didn't," and I tried to explain to her, but
Yes.
she's so used. She said, "I've never had that happen."
Wow.
So
Yeah.
so it was, love of my team and my
Yes.
friends and connection and just positive intention and being
And
really
I think-
willing to. Pardon?
No, I think it was loving yourself.
Right, that's what I was going to say next, was just being
Yes.
willing to make that positive shift and reconnect
Yes.
with myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Because we really do heal ourselves. Nothing outside is really healing us.
Well, that makes perfect sense, because I know how many placebo tests I've done just, through homeopathy school.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. It's, the power of someone's mind is so
Yes.
incredibly healing.
Because it's all in the mind. We just don't realize that.
Yeah, how strong our minds are. Well, I do now for sure from this experience.
That's amazing. And medically impossible, isn't it?
Amazing and impossible? So does that mean I
Amazingly
get to wear, like,
impossible.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, that's good. That's good. I was thinking maybe now I get to wear like a superhero cape or something.
You do.
'Cause I do
You
the
totally do.
amazingly impossible.
Yes, I'm mailing it to you. So, as I was thinking back about my experiences of moving to this place that I really live my life, I realized that a big turning point for me was taking my power back from other people. That I got very clear that in almost every area of my life, I wasn't at choice. And what I mean by that is that I was doing things for other people, or I was doing things just to get my emotional needs met, or I was doing things because I couldn't say no. And, after you live like that for years, after I lived like that for years, what I discovered is that I was not living at all, that I had given my life away to everyone and everything. And one of the most powerful things that I did to say yes to life is start taking my power back and starting to be at choice in everything. And that was really, really challenging, because that meant that I did and did not do things that the people in my life did not agree with, right? And it was worth it. It was worth getting past those rough times, because now, and this is many, many years later, but now I'm in constant choice. Everything that I do, it's because I choose it. I'm never manipulated by somebody else, and I'm never manipulated by myself. And really, that's where manipulation happens. It's within ourselves. And so when I look at my life now, I realize that I'm responsible for everything. And that is really another piece there, because one of the ways that I think that we depress ourselves or repress or suppress ourselves is that we hand responsibility away to other people and other things. And it's every time we do that, what we're really doing is giving our power away. So in other words, it's like I'm driving down the street, and I used to live in New York, so this was very appropriate. Driving down the street, and somebody cuts me off, and I blame that person. And there was the little finger trick in New York, and everybody knows that because it kind of spread across the country. But there was so much anger and hostility, and I was a part of that too. And if anybody, if I was dating someone and he broke up with me, I blamed him too. It was his fault. I was always blaming other people. I was always shifting responsibility onto other things, and life is unfair and karma and all this crap, really. And once I realized that I was responsible for everything. A few minutes ago, you mentioned, the power of the mind, and that's absolutely right. I realized that inside my mind, inside my being, that somehow, even if I didn't understand it, even if I still don't understand it, that I am in fact projecting everything out into the world. So if I have an issue inside, it's going to be projected out there. And that is truly the secret of manifestation, which will be another show. But briefly, if I understand that I am projecting my inner beliefs, my inner fears, my inner conflict, it's going to show up in my life. And so now I look at my life as being a complete and absolute amazing mirror for what's going on inside. And doing that, I take responsibility for myself, and then I can make changes. Then I'm not blaming anybody else. And in fact, every time it's somebody else's fault, what you've really done is you've taken your power away, and you've given someone else your power, and you can't change something when it's not your fault. And this one key thing it changed my life, and I've witnessed it change other people's lives as well. And it's a hard place to be, because very often when people start taking responsibility for their lives, what they come up with is a sense of blame and shame. And that's not it. In fact, if you blame yourself or shame yourself, you're not really taking responsibility. You're not really taking your power back. To truly be responsible is you understand that you are this amazing being who is projecting your life out into the world simply by your thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and a whole bunch of other stuff that goes on inside. And when you realize that, wow, that's when life really gets amazing.
That's so clear, and I can think of examples that I've repeated things in my life that have not been positive. And with you saying that, I like the visual, that projection, that when you say a projector on your life, right? I am projecting, right?
Yes.
I'm projecting out there what my needs are. And whether they're positive or negative doesn't really matter, because they're my needs, and how whatever they are, I'm going to get them met.
Yes.
So that can be something that, I mean, whatever it is, I guess it's something that you need, and that you're looking for. But when you have somebody that has had multiple, I don't know if they have been molested multiple times or something like that, and they say, I just don't understand why me. There's something inside that is showing that need or that vulnerability, that inability to respect themselves and say no.
Yes.
And somebody that's stronger than them, because they see that weakness, takes advantage of it, and that's something that they need.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that was really clearly stated. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wow.
We did a show a few weeks ago on regaining your power after abuse. And, we talked about that. And the most powerful thing that I've heard from listeners is that the abuse, the molestation, whatever it might have been, that's usually a very specific period of time, but the person who's been a victim to that, as we say, they go on abusing and molesting themselves emotionally year after year, and sometimes that lasts a whole lifetime. And that's the point that they have the opportunity to take their power back. But if they're still blaming someone who did something to them, then what they're doing is saying, I'm giving my life away to that person that experienced that pain. And, frankly, I don't think that's worth it. Life goes on after challenges. Life goes on after abuse. And that might sound like a cold thing to say, but it's a powerful thing to say.
It doesn't sound cold. It's just, what life is for living and being present within. And if you choose to live your life that way, I love what you said, that you give your life away. Because you truly do, because that's all you do. You're just spinning in that one moment. And you'll continue to, if you had an abusive mother, like that just mentally abused you and you felt that you had the worst childhood, you're going to draw people into your life like that if that's all you think about.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or whatever it is. I'm just using an example. But it completely makes sense. And life is so amazing. And, why not be present in every moment?
Exactly. I love that you brought up the idea of needs, because that's a huge factor right there, because without knowing it, our needs run us. So if somebody has a need to be, accepted, or for me, it used to be appreciated, unless that need is handled, it will actually run your entire life. And what I mean by that, I guess the best way I can exemplify that is my own personal story. And so many years ago, I was in a relationship, and I was not very happy. And I realized several years into the relationship that I was sacrificing myself. I was giving my power away. I was not at choice, because I was trying to get the need of appreciation met, which was, something that I had since I was a child, because I imagined that I wasn't appreciated. And I felt that way. And so I didn't seek out somebody who would appreciate me. I sought out somebody who did not appreciate me so that I could get him to appreciate me, so that I would finally resolve that issue of not being appreciated. I hope that makes sense.
That's a hard way to go.
Yes. Wow. And then even if you meet somebody who appreciates you, it's not attractive to you, because you have this desire to relive something in your past, like in your childhood. I felt like my parents didn't appreciate me, so I had to get someone else who didn't appreciate me so that I could do something to get them to appreciate me. And you can, reinsert any need instead of appreciation. It could be love, it could be acceptance, understanding, to be heard. There's many, many needs. When I finally realized what I was doing, and what I was doing is sacrificing my entire life, and I was not feeling very good about myself. Once I realized what was going on, then I decided that I would reclaim that sense of appreciation, and that it wasn't worth getting it from someone else, that the only one that really had to give it to me was me. And in fact, until I gave it to myself, it wouldn't be met. That's the ironic part. And so as I took my power back from him and everybody else and gave myself what I needed, I began to become full inside. And once I was full inside, then I didn't have a need to get anybody else to fill me up. And the other amazing thing that happened, that utterly delighted and surprised me, was that as I filled up inside and didn't need anything from anyone, I started overflowing, and I started overflowing so much that it was then that I really understood what it meant to give my life away, because I had so much energy and so much zest for living and so much enthusiasm that it had to go someplace, because I was overflowing. And so I started giving it out to the world, and life became amazing. When I overflowed and I was able to share, I discovered the beauty and magnificence of this life I call mine.
Oh,
And I'm very
so grateful. I'm grateful
Yeah.
that you're there too. And you know what I was thinking as you're saying that is want to give life away. And you are there in such a positive, abundant, like a real solid way. And unfortunately that's a rarity. And I was giggling because, I mean, that's who I want to be and I've always wanted to be, but I was doing it from a place of emptiness.
Right.
So I was like killing myself to be that giver. And actually, you know, it's interesting because are you really giving if you're giving from an empty place? No. Because it's not...
what's it...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're not giving from an empty place because it's not 100% giving because it's taking away from you.
Right. And the other thing ties into needs, because if you're not full inside and you're giving from this empty place, you're looking for something to be returned, even if it's not conscious.
Ah, of course. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Right. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how simple does that all sound and seem?
I don't know.
Not.
How simple does it sound? It was not simple for me to get to that understanding. Now that I have it and I live it, and I live it all the time, now that I have it and I live it, it's really, really simple. It's made life so simple.
Yeah, and I am just on the journey, and it seems so simple, but it's really difficult. And it seems like something we should have from birth. I mean, there should be 100% self-loving.
Yes. Yes. Well, you know, we come in innocent, as you and I have spoken about, and then there's a lot going on in the world, and, you know, it's in our nature, it's in our genes to try to figure out who we are in relation to the world. And unfortunately, when you're a little kid and you're making up, you know, what's true about the world can seem pretty scary, and you can seem pretty alone, and lots of issues start to build up. And then life gives you an opportunity to revisit those issues and other situations in your life until you understand a greater truth, and the original issues just seem to vanish in the light of this greater truth. And I think that's beautiful.
Right. If you choose life.
If you choose life. Yeah. And so, Tamara, what seems like the more difficult part? What's not simple?
What seems like the most difficult part?
Yeah, what's not simple?
Well, I would say, like, just quickly what comes up for me is external things around me, like behaviors that I was accustomed to, like accommodating, and just recognizing that and changing it, like in that recognition, to more take care of myself. So that's difficult because, you know what, I don't want to hurt anybody. And so that's kind of how I've lived my life. Like, I never want to hurt anybody. I never want to upset anybody. I never want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
So
and so what you're saying, So what you're saying
that's
is
something that I, Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'll shut up.
No. Good. You go.
No, okay, so don't forget your thought. So what I'm hearing you say when you say, I don't want to hurt anybody else, what you're really saying is, it's easier for me to hurt myself.
Right. I'm shaking my head. Well, because I've lived my entire life like that, right? So now that I have completely owned that that's not what I want to do any longer. I'm not going to do that any longer.
Yes.
Sometimes my initial behavior will be to make a choice in someone else's favor. And then I have to go back and change it. Like, here's a silly example.
Yes, please.
So I had a referral to this dentist, and he was a holistic dentist. And it turns out I go in and I have my teeth cleaned and I meet the dentist, but he just came in for a moment to say hello. I didn't need anything done. So then, months go by and I need to have more intensive work done on one tooth. So I realized when I made the appointment that I was seeing another dentist in the practice, not the holistic dentist that I thought I was going to see. So this brought up all this stuff inside me. Now I have to call and let this guy down. I really liked him. He was such a nice guy. I have to tell him, where I'm coming from, and I have to have this confrontation. That's how it is to me. That's what it feels like.
A confrontation, yeah.
Of a confrontation. Yeah. And so that was an issue that I called this morning, and he wasn't in, so I left a message. And, now I'm going to have the conversation with him. But that's uncomfortable for me.
Yes. Well, I think it's amazing that...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I went first last time.
I was just going to say it's amazing to me that, something, it may seem totally ridiculous to someone else, but to me this was a big deal. It is a big deal.
And I understand
I know I have to do what's best for me.
Yes. And not only do you do what's best for you, the cool thing is that the universe has given you the opportunity to make that choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yes, that's beautiful. I get that. And so now, as I have these encounters, the better, the easier it will be to handle them, because I'm not going to put so much energy into it.
And the truth is, it really does get easier and easier and easier the more you do it, so that it becomes natural, so that it's as natural and as easy as always sacrificing yourself, which really isn't easy. In the long run, it's really hard. And, the other thing that happens, and imagine this. So it's like somebody asks you something, and you say yes to it, and you don't really want to do it. So what's your energy? Is your energy really giving, or is your energy feeling bad?
Right. And I was picturing that when I was thinking about the dentist in my conversation with him. If I'm coming from a truly honest place about it, then he's going to feel that. But if I go in and I'm all nervous and caught up about it, even though the nerves are just from me, like he's going to feel like it's him.
Right.
And it's not. Yeah.
And even if you're good at hiding it, because I really was. Because I've got all that acting background, so I was good at keeping it a secret from people. And so even if someone doesn't know, there's an energy exchange that always goes on between everybody. And so even if you're, saying it just the right way, but you've got this feeling like, oh, I don't want to be doing this, I can't believe I'm doing this, that other person gets that energy. So if it's a situation, even like if you're giving to somebody's asked you to do something and you've said yes and you really don't want to, what you're really giving them is a lower vibration of energy. What you're really doing is vomiting on them, even if they don't consciously know it. Yeah.
That's such a powerful visualization.
Yeah. Yes. And on the other hand, when you stay true to yourself and say yes when you want to say yes, and when you say no when you want to say no, what you're doing is spraying them with flowers, sending them love. You cannot give love to someone else unless it is overflowing from you. And it cannot be overflowing from you unless you're truly and absolutely loving yourself completely. And that means being in integrity with what's right and true for you at that moment.
Yes. I'm taking that all in.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for being just so open and honest, and I so appreciate it, you sharing all this, because I know that there's a lot of people listening, and they're feeling the same way, and they have the same questions, and so this is amazing. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for
the
being
other
there.
thing. Oh my goodness! Of course, always. The other thing that I think of is this idea of motivation versus inspiration. And, when we say yes and we don't want to say yes, there's something that's motivating us. And really, we think we're saying yes. Well, we really want to say no. We think we're saying yes because we think you don't want to hurt the other person. I will tell you, and everybody out there, it has nothing to do with the other person. What you're really trying to prevent is feeling bad about it yourself. It has nothing to do with the other person. Don't fool yourself. And once that sets in, then it changes everything. It changes everything. Because no matter what you do, it's really about you. So the motivation in some way is to get our own needs met, whatever that might be. An example in basic terms. So a person goes to work, doesn't like their job, but the motivation is to make money. This kind of person, doesn't feel good at work, doesn't feel good at the end of the day. They're kind of dying inside. Another person works from inspiration, and inspiration is what comes from inside when we're full and we're following our inner voice and our creativity and doing what we love to do. Inspiration flows out into the world and attracts things to us, makes things effortless, makes us love what we do, that even if money wasn't involved, we would still do it. And so this is the same, with personal relationships too. If you're motivated to say yes because, you're trying to get a need met, or you think don't want to hurt someone, that's a lower vibration of energy. That's not really giving. However, when you're inspired to give because you have so much to give, then that is true abundance, true giving for you and for the other person, and the other person gets that. So it's like you're spreading not only whatever it is that you're giving, but you're spreading love and inspiration and all sorts of wonderful gifts. And then when you're always a choice and say yes when you want to say yes and say no when you want to say no, the most amazing thing happens, because the yeses get really, really exciting, and the no's just allow you to say more yeses. And it really does work like that.
So just a question. So
yes.
When you get to that really clear point that there's always a choice, it's always a yes or a no, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because I'm obviously still working on it, so I don't have the answer to this. But I'm sure there's a lot of us that would love some direction.
Yes.
I feel like it's just making that decision that that's the way it's going to be, okay? So that there's no road to walk down or rungs
right.
on the ladder to climb to get there, because then
right.
there's a detour or I'm stuck
right.
or whatever.
Right.
So I feel like it's just a choice that needs to be made. However, when you have been, like me, not honest with myself for so long, I'm still finding out who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
yes.
How do I know? I mean, am I always going to say for every decision, can you give me 5 minutes to think about that?
For a while, yeah, and that's fine. Or you might say, I need a day to think about that. And then you check in. And what happens is when you start to check in, which it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing, and you find out what's true for you. Do I really want to do this? Do I not want to do this? You check in. What you'll start to notice is that your body actually gives you signs. And they're physical signs, and they're emotional signs, a whole bunch of signs, and it depends on the person. So, like for me, when I say yes, I just feel my body feels powerful, and I'm excited, and I almost can't wait to do it. If it's a no, if I don't want to do it, my energy stays lower. So I watch my energy level, which is one of the greatest ways to get in touch with your intuition, by the way. And so you take 5 minutes or an hour or a day or however long you need, You get to take however long you need. You check in, and you notice how that answer feels, that yes feels, that no feels. And once you really feel that, the yes and the no, and the difference between the two, in the future, when somebody asks you if you want to do something or not, your body will instantly tell you.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. That completely makes sense to me because I know that feeling, so I can go somewhere with it.
Yes.
That makes sense. So, yes, I mean, I'm laughing, like, is it okay to, like, take this time? But, of course, because you have to be, true to yourself.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, even in this conversation, can you see how being true to yourself in this conversation and asking for what you need not only supports you, it supports everybody else listening?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because you know what? When I hold back and I self-monitor, it doesn't feel good. It's that same feeling as if when you give somebody a yes and you only mean it like with a quarter of your being. It's that same amount of energy. So when I'm when I'm filtering, it doesn't feel good to me, and I'm sure it doesn't sound or feel good to anybody else. So yes, it's you know what, and it's also good to own who you are. I mean, that feels good.
Absolutely.
Like it is who I am. So. So it's all good. It's all perfect.
It is all perfect.
Yeah. It is all perfect.
And the truth is, when we support ourselves, we support everyone else involved. So if you're not supporting yourself and you're saying yes when you want to say no, you're not supporting the other person either.
Right.
Universal
and
law.
As parents, and as parents, I mean, that's the key. I mean, for me, that's like one of the most important things I want to give my children is that I want them to love themselves and to be honest to themselves and truly come from, the honest point within. I mean, that's the greatest gift you can have. So if I'm not functioning there, how are they going to learn that?
Exactly. But it can't be for them. It has to be for you. That's the trick.
Right. No, I get that.
Because if it's for them, it's for anybody else, then you're not doing it for the right reasons, and it's something different.
Right. Well, then I'm not living. I'm giving away my life again.
Right, exactly.
Right.
When we live our lives completely and fully and own our lives and say yes to our lives, that becomes the greatest gift to everybody else around us. And truly, I believe that's the secret to an amazing life. Tamara, thank you so much for being on the show today. You're amazing. I am so grateful for your honesty and your sharing, and I know you helped a lot of people out there. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's worth living.
Yes, I love life.
I love life too. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Tamara. And how I'd like to end is, thank you. I want to share my website address, as I always do at the end of the show, so that if you'd like to check out my website, there's a bunch of wonderful articles on there about all sorts of things. And the website address is www.nanice.com, NANICE.com. Thank you so much for listening today. And I just want to share with you that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt your life is a precious, precious gift for you. No one can live it for you. Only you can breathe life into living. Only you can look deep inside and uncover your very own truth. Only you can choose to live your truth in the world. Whether your life is brilliant and amazing or dim and dull, it is your creation. No one is doing anything to you. You are a victim to no one but yourself. Always and in all ways. Maybe it's time to stop blaming life for all your troubles and challenges and take your power back where it belongs. Maybe it's time for you to remember who you really are. And when you truly remember who you really are, you will realize that the dream called your life is a constant blank canvas on which to paint exactly what you want. Imagine that. You have been listening to Chai with Nanice. I'm Nanice.
Thank you for having Chai with Nanice. Please go to www.nanice.com for great free stuff that will empower you to live your best possible life. Free books, articles, shows, meditation audios, and so much more at nanice.com. That's Nanice.com. Nanice's books are also available in all major bookstores and Amazon. Check out The Infinite Power of You, Even Gandhi Got Hungry and Buddha Got Mad, Zest Point, Lip Prints, and many others by Nanice Ellis. To find out about one-on-one coaching and how Nanice can personally coach you to experience your best life possible, please email mybestlife@nanice.com.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And please join me on my website at nanice.com. That's Nanice.com. Thank you.